You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hello, baddies. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Hello, baddies. So we are doing a midweek record. We usually do a Tuesday record, but it's a Wednesday. And Wednesday is usually my date night.
Ooh.
So, Sam, what are some things you and Brandon do on your guys' date nights? What are your guys' favorite hangs?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, we do like to mix up our date nights. I would say typically we'll, go out to eat somewhere nice, like get sushi or like a nice restaurant near the water or something like that. We will go to the beach sometimes. I'm trying to think what else. We're not usually movie people. We don't usually go to the movies. We will like watch a movie at home and like cuddle up, kind of count that as a little date night in.
Yeah.
Yeah, different things like that. Sometimes like cook or make sushi at home by ourselves. We're kind of home people, you know that. We like to be at home.
Yeah. Dustin and I are not home people. I will say every now and then we have an at home date. We're doing one tomorrow because usually we don't see each other on Thursdays, but the kid's schedule is off this week. So we are doing a at home Secret Wives of Mormon Lives season 2 premiere because it comes out
That's what I
tomorrow.
was just going to ask. So when this episode airs, oh my
It
God,
will be out.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Dustin and I are typically, we like to go out to eat. We like good restaurants,
Yes.
or like a rooftop cocktail. That's a big thing we do for date nights. It usually involves food of some kind. We're big foodies, big foodies.
I would say same with us that like most of the time when we do a date, it's usually food. We also like to take our dog to the dog park on a little date
Aw.
because
Dustin and
Bobette.
I will play trivia sometimes.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Do you have a food spot that you go to often, like regulars, or no, you like to try different places?
No, we like to try. And like Nashville is, we're so lucky that there's new food popping up in Nashville like literally every day. And
Yeah.
Nashville changes so quickly. It's like you could never run out of places to try.
No, that's what I always want to be like a regular somewhere where the waitress knows what I'm going to order, but would prefer to just try new places. So that's what we do typically as well.
Mhm.
I'm jealous. You guys are having a cute little date night tomorrow.
I'm very excited for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
All right, who's your fave?
Oh, I don't know. I really like Taylor. I do.
Yeah, that was not one I was expecting to like. And then at the end of the season, I was definitely Team Taylor.
Yeah, I like Taylor.
But yeah, that's exciting, Lex.
Okay, what do you got for me today, Samantha?
Yeah, I told you not to look it up because Lexi is a look up girl. When she doesn't know something, she looks it up. So I'm hoping you don't know this one. So for this case for me, I was actually scrolling through Instagram, just scrolling up and down. And I saw a post, like one of those ones that you aren't following, but like, you see those posts
Suggested for you.
suggested for you. It was from Oddly Horrifying. And I read the little snippet. It was like a little picture with a little snippet on it about this case. And I was like, this is so insane. I need to tell the baddies and Lex about it. So today, I am going to tell you the insane story of the straight up baddie, Susan Kuhnhausen.
Okay, let's do it.
Is that name familiar to you?
No.
Beautiful. Susan was born on November 27th, 1954. Susan's mother was a nurse, and it sparked her passion to become a nurse at a really early age. So after high school, Susan went to Oregon or Oregon?
Oregon. Dustin would kill you if you said Oregon. Dustin
Dustin,
is
I
from
apologize.
Oregon, and it is his biggest pet peeve when people say Oregon.
I know people from Oregon are very upset when people say wrong, so I apologize. But Susan went to Oregon Health and Science University School of Nursing, and then she graduated in 1977. Susan got a job working as an ER nurse right after, so already we know she's a baddie because we love nurses. They are heroes.
Speaking of which, real fast, Sam and I haven't finished yet, but Sam and I have been watching The Pit on HBO Max. Oh my God, go watch The Pit. It's amazing.
Yes, I would love to hear your thoughts, baddies. Susan absolutely loved her job and loved working with people and helping them as well, so it was a perfect fit for Susan. At age 33, Susan was like, I have the career. Now I want someone to enjoy it with. And actually, for her 33rd birthday, her mom gave her a subscription to a matchmaking company. So Susan places an ad, I believe, with the company looking for love, which I feel like is like the old school Tinder. You put a little bio out about yourself, see who's interested.
Yes.
So Susan described herself and said she was looking for love. And just 2 weeks later, in January of 1988, she got a reply. She received a letter, then rang the number that she got.
A letter. Oh my gosh, this is so like cutesy old school.
Isn't it? The reply was from a kind, soft spoken man named Mike Kuhnhausen. He served in the Vietnam War and was previously married and had two young children with his previous wife. Susan and Mike shared a lot of interests because he also loved nature just like her. Mike, however, was more of a homebody, but seemed to like Susan's extroverted ways and didn't mind when she would like go out and hang out with friends and be with them. It worked for them. He was okay with her being extroverted and she was okay with him being introverted. Mike also had a really good work ethic. He actually worked as a maintenance supervisor at a fantasy adult video store.
Oh.
Yeah, and did really well for himself. But they start dating and fall in love. And Susan admits to being cautious about marriage. She didn't see a lot of successful marriages growing up and wasn't sure if it was for her. But that same year, Susan and Mike move in together. And then on December 11th or 10th, because I saw both dates, in 1988, Mike and Susan get married in Reno. She's
This is
proud of her.
very cute so far.
Yes, so far. She is proud of herself for taking a gamble with love, and she's really proud of Mike as well for trying again since he was previously married, which I think is so sweet. They build a life together, and Susan really loves his children like they were her own. However, after around 17 years of marriage, they do end up separating.
Oh.
Yes, Susan is the one that ends up asking Mike to move out. Although she asked him to move out, they did stay cordial. Susan would invite him to friendly get togethers, and they continued to communicate with each other and do family things since Susan considered his children her own still, and now they had grandchildren, which I think is really sweet. But to get to it, on September 6th, 2006, a 51-year-old Susan just gets off of her ER shift at Providence Portland Medical Center. I also believe she was getting ready to go to a nursing convention soon, and she was making her way home, which was in Southeast Portland. She calls Mike on her way home to check in, and he seemed a little irritated, but mentioned that he actually left a note in her house that he had to clear his head and was going to the beach. Susan gets home and walks into her house, and there is the note from Mike saying he's at the beach to clear his head. He wrote, Sue, I haven't been sleeping, had to get away, went to the beach. She did find it a little weird that he left her a note and seemed irritated earlier, but she kind of brushed it off. So she's like, whatever. She goes to her bedroom, and before she walks in, she realizes something's off. It's pretty dark in her room, which is odd because she always opens the blinds to her room before she leaves the house.
Couldn't
She
be
just,
me.
you keep your blinds closed?
I keep my blinds closed in my room all the time.
Oh, my bedroom I do too, actually. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
But before I leave, I do open my like the rest of my blinds in my house. So if I like walked in and it was super dark, I'd be kind of freaked out too.
I will say I probably 75% of the time open the blinds to my house, but if I'm running late in the morning, I don't.
which is what Susan kind of thinks. Like, okay, maybe I forgot, but I usually don't. Anyway, Susan walks into her room and she sees an unknown man standing there
Just
wearing yellow gloves and holding a freaking claw hammer.
just standing in her room.
Just standing there with yellow gloves on, holding a hammer.
Okay.
Can you imagine? I would literally crap myself right there.
Uh, it's like a scary movie. And it's the part of the scary movie where I'm always like, I'd be like, just kill me. I don't want to live this fear.
I apologize for this side tangent, but it's like that one time, Lex, that I hid in your room to scare you when you're coming out of the bathroom. And instead of running away, you ran back into the room and held the side of your bed, screaming.
I literally was thinking about that. And I didn't want to say it on the podcast, but here we are.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll own it. I'll own it. My fight or flight response is neither fight nor flight. It's freeze.
Stay there and scream.
Yeah.
But I probably would in this situation. It's a man you do not know wearing gloves, holding a hammer. Disgusting. So, of course, Susan is like, who are you? What are you doing here? And what do you want? And this man that she doesn't know does not answer, just looks at her, and then swings the claw hammer at her, hitting her in the left temple of her head and her face.
Oh my God.
Susan tries to run, but realizes she is trapped in the room. She also realizes the man appeared to be not afraid. He seemed surprised Susan was home, but also somewhat excited, which is completely terrifying. But this straight up baddie does not give up. She decides she needs to fight back. Susan tackles this random man in her
What?
in her house, pushing him against a wall.
Wait, she gets hit in the head with a hammer,
Yes.
gets up and tackles this fucking guy.
Yes, and he finally speaks. And what he says gives me a chill. He says, "You're strong."
Ew.
Isn't that gross? That's what I wrote. Like, ew.
I don't like it.
No. At first, she thought, okay, maybe this is a burglary situation. But this random man didn't ask questions like, where's your money? Where's the safe? So Susan quickly realizes that this man in her home is probably here to murder her.
Yeah, it seems very set up. That's for sure.
Keep thinking that. So Susan somehow wrestles the claw hammer away from random man
What?
and
She's so cool.
yes, and hits this man in the head with it a few times. And then she screams, "Who sent you?"
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yes, this man's does not respond and unfortunately ends up wrestling the hammer back. So, Baddie Susan grabs his throat and says to him, "You are not going to kill me in my own home," and starts squeezing.
Susan is fight. She is
Sh-
not flight. She is not freeze.
Not in
She
the
is
least.
your fight. She's got that dog in her.
Yes. She squeezes so hard that his face turns purple and then blue. This man lets go of the hammer. So Susan lets go of his throat to grab the hammer. Smart thinking.
Yeah.
She strikes him with the claw side of the hammer. Oof. But then the hammer slips. She's nervous. She's shaky. But she's like, this is my chance to escape. I need to do it now. So she gets up and runs. But then this man also gets up and chases her into the hallway and grabs her from behind.
Ugh.
He turns her around and then begins savagely punching Susan in the face.
Oh my God.
She falls to the floor because a grown man is punching her savagely into the face.
After she's been hit in the head with a hammer, tackled a man, and beat him with his own hammer.
Yes. And this man stands over her with the hammer. Somehow, Susan lunges for his legs, grabs his calves, and pulls him to the floor.
I'm looking up a picture of her right now. I need to see what she looks like.
Don't read anything.
No, I'm just looking at Google Images. This woman?
She a baddie. Look at the Instagram baddies.
Oh my God. You would never expect this from this woman.
She looks like a nice lady, like a nice grandma of some sort.
Yeah. Or like the lunch lady at your school, just like quiet and unassuming looking.
Yes. So she pulls this man to the floor, and Susan is screaming and then starts biting him in the arm and the thigh. And the reason she does this is because she's hoping that her teeth marks will at
Yes,
least link
girl.
her in her own murder, will link
Yes.
him in her own murder.
Yes. She says, get that evidence.
Yes, which is so smart, but also so scary. Like you think you're about to get murdered, and you're like, I just need to at least get this man's behind bars to let me bite him a few times. I would never think that.
Yeah, that is scary, but also fucking badass.
Yeah, so smart. Susan then realizes if she can't get the weapon from him, she has to be the weapon. Susan learned self defense at work and she began using what she knew. She musters all the strength she has left and somehow climbs on top of this random man in yellow gloves and puts this man in a flippin' chokehold with her left arm.
Stop it right now. I love Susan.
Oh, I love Susan so much. He tries to flip Susan, but with her decades of self defense training, she's able to stay in control and not flip over from this crazy man.
I'm about to get in self defense classes right now.
We should. As Susan is choking him in her chokehold, she yells, "Tell me who you are, and I will call you an ambulance."
Yes, girl. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Random man doesn't answer, so she keeps going, and then random man stops moving. So Susan grabs the hammer and runs to her neighbor's house to call 911. She gets to her neighbors and is like, "Open the door, call the police. I have been attacked and I think I killed a man." Imagine your neighbor coming over and saying that to you.
I don't know my neighbors like that. I would be like, I am not opening the door. Sorry about it.
Oh my God, I would be like, "Come in. Let me call 911. Do you need a blanket? Here's some hot cocoa." Like, I would not be probably acting how you should. Susan's fight for her life lasted at least 14 minutes.
14 I 14
That's
minutes through a workout video. I'm dying, much less fighting for your actual life.
Yes, which I said is such a long time to fight for your life and think that you are about to die and have a grown man trying to wrestle you and kill you with a hammer.
Wild.
Susan waited with her neighbor until the police and ambulance arrived. Susan is a great person. Obviously, we already know this, but she was really hoping she didn't kill this random man, even though he was trying to kill her, and that he was just unconscious. When the police arrived, she asked the officer if the man was dead, and the officer said that he was. Susan, again, being an amazing person, said she immediately began to think about his family. She also eventually said, "Everybody has somebody who loves them: children, a wife, a mother, a dad. The worst of this is not that somebody tried to kill me, but that I had to kill someone else to survive. But I have no shame because I did not choose this death for him. I chose my life. I chose life."
Holy shit. She's so cool.
Chills. What a baddie. I can't even.
She's my new hero. Susan, I'm going to put a picture of you in this office.
Ooh, that's actually such a good idea. Susan, of course, is transported to the hospital, which happened to actually be the same one that she worked at. Her friend Helen goes to visit her, and Susan looks rough. She had lumps on her head, cuts on her lips, bruises on her face, and bite marks on her arm. So he must have been biting her
He
also.
bit her back.
Yes. And then Susan asks Helen, her best friend, "Do you think Mike could have done this?"
I think it's very suspicious Mike left you and know that he was going to the beach at the same time this happened.
And Helen was like, "No, I can't imagine that at all." But why would Susan think her soon to be ex husband may have been involved? Let's chat a little more about Mike. Remember, Susan asked for the separation and they were leading to divorce. Well, Susan said that the night that everything changed in their marriage, that she knew something was off, he turned to her randomly and said, "Marriage changes people. Who will change more, you or me?"
I'd say that's a great question. Why don't we answer that while I pack my bags to leave forever?
Like, what a weird thing to say. I don't understand that.
No, and people change in life regardless of being
Yes.
married or not. I could see being like, marriage is hard because we're going to change one day, but to word it like that,
Yeah, like which one of us are going to change? Ew. About 5 years before her attempted murder, Mike also started being concerned about money, specifically money Susan would spend when she would go out with friends. This was weird to Susan because finances weren't an issue with them, and she always made more than Mike, anyways, being an ER nurse.
so she makes more money, and he's like, "Well, what you spending it on?"
Yeah, and it was also weird because Mike would spend a lot of money on sports memorabilia that he would like keep in the basement, but then would be like super mad if Susan was like enjoying herself at a movie or something.
Can't go to the movies because I gotta buy this 1930s baseball signed by the greats.
Yeah, and he was also spending a lot more time in the basement with the sports memorabilia.
That sounds dirty.
Okay, I didn't mean it like that. But Mike's also spending a lot more time in the basement as well, like not hanging out with Susan. Like they're
With
home
the
together.
sports memorabilia.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Alexis. Anyway, Susan's good friend Helen also realized a change with Mike as well. She said Mike was a lot more negative. He would listen into their conversations when they were talking on the phone, and Susan would like suddenly hang up out of nowhere. Not a good sign. Mike also started blaming other people for his own problems, which I hate so much when people do that.
Yeah, that's obnoxious.
By the winter of 2002, Mike's behavior had escalated even more. He told Susan he wasn't sure if he was ever happy and didn't know what happiness was.
Sounds like you got to figure yourself out, dude.
He was also,
Therapy would help.
yes, he was also drinking a lot of caffeine and smoking a lot of cigarettes, and this was enhancing his anxiety. Susan's brother actually told Mike on one occasion that he thought he might have PTSD from the war, but it wasn't perceived well because remember, he was in the Vietnam War, which we know was a very brutal
Yeah.
war.
And I feel like a lot of people, I mean, when we obviously started learning about PTSD, but like no one wanted to believe that it was real. So that is very sad.
Yes. But because of this behavior, Susan asked Mike, her husband, to go to counseling with her. And Mike said no because he blamed that for sealing the deal on his first divorce. But Susan was like, if you're not willing to work on this relationship, it will seal the deal to the end of our marriage. So Mike did, although reluctantly, agree to go to counseling with her. But by the end of the summer, there was no improvement. A year before the attempted murder in September of 2005, Mike agreed to a trial separation because things were just not getting better. Susan realized she changed her life to accommodate his needs and it wasn't working. She was losing herself. She also felt like he was getting angry and was afraid it could lead to domestic violence, although it never did. Mike moved in with his father, and Susan really tried to keep things normal at this point. They would still do family stuff together because remember, he had children. They've been together for 17 years, and she wanted to continue with that family dynamic. So they would hang out still. But she did ask Mike not to come to the house when she wasn't there because one time she changed like a damaged deadbolt, and he was super upset and thought she changed the locks on him. So it just left her feeling a little uncomfortable. However, Susan kept the garage code the same, which was their wedding anniversary, 12/10/88 or 12/11/88. By the time the holidays approached, Susan was determined to move on and be happy again. She had a big party with friends over, and Mike was invited, and he came. But while he was there, Susan noticed that Mike was like not hanging out with anyone and just standing in the corner and looking at her like he was really angry that she was enjoying herself. And Susan realized her marriage wasn't getting better. And by January 2006, the marriage was basically over.
Oh, that's rough.
Susan also had a sneaking suspicion that he was in the home without her in it, but had no proof. The summer of 2006, they separated bank accounts and decided to move forward with the divorce. This brings us to September 6th, 2006. Susan went into her house and encountered the random man. But who was this random man? And was he, in fact, connected to Mike?
Yes, has to be. That's my 2 cents.
Well, this random man's name is Ed Hafey. After the attempted murder, Susan's friend Helen went to her house, I believe to grab things for her at the hospital. She finds two weird things. One, Mike's sports memorabilia was like boxed up by the door. And two, an odd backpack was in the basement with a notebook planner in it. In the planner, specifically the week of September 4th, it said, call Mike with Mike's phone number.
Oh,
The connection between Mike and Ed was clear. They obviously knew each other in some capacity. And it's also clear that Mike probably hired him to kill his soon to be ex wife.
I always
And
wonder how those conversations start.
I'm about to tell you, girl. Now, how did they know each other? How did Mike meet the hitman he would hire? Well, remember, Mike worked at the fantasy adult store as a maintenance supervisor. Well, a man recently released from prison came to apply for a cleaning job. And at this time, Mike was paranoid Susan was going to leave and take all the money. Mike asked random man who came for this job why he was in jail. And he tells Mike that he was incarcerated for conspiracy to commit murder. And Mike was like, OMG, this is falling into my lap. So he hires him. This man was at Happy.
This is unreal.
Ed was 59 years old, and he did, in fact, do 9 years for hiring a hitman to torture and murder his ex girlfriend in 1994.
So the hiree becomes the hitman the second time around.
I literally said, interestingly, now he was the one being hired for murder.
So he's like, I hired a hitman. I went to jail for 9 years for conspiracy to murder. This time around, I don't mind doing the killing.
Yep. He was released in 2003, and he also had some burglaries and was addicted to crack cocaine. Knowing about the charge, since Ed was just so forthcoming with this information to his not even employer yet, trying to get a job on a job interview saying this, Mike becomes buddy buddy with Ed. Both of them served in the military and were terrible people, so they become quick friends.
Wait, did he get the job at the fantasy store as well?
He gave him the job at the fantasy store.
So he got 2 jobs that day.
That's terrible. The murder hire came a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
Mike put his claws in him first. They get buddy buddy. And Mike shares what's on his mind with his wife and tells Ed that Susan was about to screw him over with the divorce, which was not true. And Mike then offers Ed $50,000 to murder Susan. He says he will give him half up front and half when the job is done.
Great.
How did Mike have this money? He was so worried about money all the time, remember?
Did he sell his sports memorabilia?
No, it was boxed up, remember? But this idiot got a holiday bonus every year of about $5,000 to $6,000. He would lie to Susan and tell her it was $1,000 and then pocket the rest. So he saved up enough to do this.
So he had a little rainy day fund and complained about her spending money when he's got this whole ass rainy day fund that's a secret from her. Wow, this guy's top notch. Top
Disgusting.
fucking notch.
Sick. Also, remember the note that Mike left Susan. He probably did this, one, for an alibi, and then two, to let Ed, his hitman, into Susan's house with the garage code that was their anniversary date. Mike even put the security system in bypass mode so this random man could move around.
Oh my God.
Actually disgusting. The day of the attempted murder, Mike is waiting for Ed's phone call to say it was successfully done. He turns on the news and his house is on it. In one source I read, it said that he called Providence, the hospital, and asked if Susan was there. And she was, but as a patient. But Susan, when she came in, was like, don't tell anyone I'm at the hospital, because at this point, she didn't know if someone would come back. So they don't disclose this information to Mike. And at this point, Mike's probably freaking out.
Good.
Right? According to the affidavit, Susan told officers, Her husband was distraught about the divorce and wanting to reconcile, but she was insisting on the divorce. With that, the planner, and the clear connection with Ed, police are ready to arrest Mike, but no one knows where he is at. Mike was on the run for several days, which, how scary if you're Susan.
Yeah.
She was released from the hospital the next day and was probably so worried that he wanted to finish the job. Thankfully, though, 9 days later, I believe on September 15th, the police find Mike and he is finally arrested. He was, in fact, at the beach and about 10 miles from the hospital where Susan worked. The following day, Susan files for divorce and changes her last name to Walters. She like bided.
Wait, he was just hanging out on the beach?
To be 100% honest, I don't know if he was hanging out on the beach. Was he in the hotel? I don't know the exact location, but he did go to the beach.
He's an,
What?
I was gonna say he's an honest man, but he's not.
But yeah, Susan's like, bye, changes her last name. I want nothing to do with you. Mike claimed he was innocent, even though this was all over the news, and he allegedly called no one about his soon to be ex wife.
If you innocent, why are you hanging out in hiding for 9 days?
Exactly. Literally. Mike
Innocent
also,
people don't hide.
I mean, you ain't wrong. He also admitted to leaving that note to Susan, and he admitted to knowing Ed, but still said he didn't do it.
Ed came up with it all himself.
Allegedly, Mike also invited Susan to the beach many times before this, and she said she couldn't go. Those close to Susan believe he maybe wanted to go with her so Mike could push her off the cliff there and make it look like an accident. But that can't be confirmed. But also, thankfully, she never went with him because he could have gotten what he wanted. Mike also claimed to the police that he was suicidal.
I just rolled my eyes for those of you who cannot see us.
His daughter from the previous marriage said he did leave a suicide note. So I believe they put him on suicide watch. The judge then decides to set Mike's bail to $1 million.
Yes, Judge.
In January of 2007, his daughter raised the money to get him out and on house arrest.
I'm sorry. What?
It's her dad. I can be somewhat understanding, kind of. But his landlord was like, no, you're not allowed to live here. And with no place else to go, Mike goes back to jail.
Yes.
I know, so good. September 7th, 2007, a year later, Mike finally folds and pleads guilty to soliciting a murder for hire plot against his wife.
Yes. Let's go.
At the sentence hearing, they did victim impact statements, and Susan told Mike, quote, "You told police that you found out I was okay. Do I look okay? As long as you live, I will never have a measure of peace, but I will not be destroyed." She also said, quote, "If I believed you deserved to die, I would have the balls to kill you myself."
Wow. I love her. Can we be best friends with her? Let's call her.
She's truly a baddie. And if there's any chance in the world she listens to this, we love you. We're stans for sure.
Call us up. Send us an Instagram message. Send us an email. If you're Susan, we want to hang out.
Please. Susan really believed that Mike just snapped. She also spent much of her time practicing at a shooting range just in case Mike was able to get out and hire someone else. Susan also decided to sue Mike for $1 million of damages. She knew he would never be able to pay, but she wanted to drain his savings so he could never hire a hitman again.
Let's go, girl. That's freaking smart. I would have never thought of that.
No, neither would I. After his confession and the victim impact statement, Mike is sentenced to 10 years in prison,
I mean,
which
that's
is
not
wild.
surprising since that other guy got 9.
True, but he like hired someone to kill his wife. I don't know. I just think that's so insane. And like you said, I did the same thing years before and also got out. Like I just don't understand that part of the justice system. Like they're not going to be able to find someone else.
Yeah.
Even worse, Mike had 2 years taken off his sentence for good behavior.
Ew.
Gross. In 2015, Mike was getting out on early release, and Susan understandably is freaking out. Duh. She put in gravel on her driveway to hear whenever someone arrived. She installed cameras. She was still taking lessons at the gun range, and she was still really upset she took a life. But 3 months before Mike's scheduled release, he dies of prostate cancer.
That is karma at its finest.
Truly.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, karma. Thank you, universe.
Susan says she doesn't mourn the passing of her ex husband, but she does mourn the life he could have had. Like, that's sad. And also, again, she's so incredible.
Yes.
Susan actually stayed in her home for quite some time, but then she did eventually move. Susan Walters is now an outspoken advocate for victims of violent crimes in Portland, Oregon. Oregon, sorry, Dustin. She works closely with justice organizations in the Portland area, including Women's Strength and Girl Strength programs, which is a self defense program, and the Oregon Crime Victims Law Center, which provides free legal representation to crime victims. She also worked with the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office to help create a website, Case Companion, which is a free website dedicated to supporting victims of crime in the area. On the website, you can look up the status of the case and their whereabouts of their offenders, which is super helpful. And of course, she is still a baddie ER nurse.
That is literally awesome. She's so cool.
That is the insane story of the straight up, amazing, wonderful baddie Susan Walters.
I love that so much. I love her so much. This was such a good story. And also, I mean, sad, but overall happy.
Yes, especially after doing the two-parter Chillicothe episode, I seen this and I was like, yes, this is way less depressing. Still sad because she had to take a life she didn't want to, and her husband hired someone to murder her, but an incredible survival story.
Yeah. Awesome.
And again, I want to be your friend and hang out with her. Go out for some wine, talk,
Yeah. Susan, we love you.
and we hope you enjoyed it, baddies. A little bit of a different case, but hopefully one that's not so depressing on your morning, evening, afternoon of listening.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you are following us on whatever platform you are listening on and also downloading those episodes. That's the biggest way to help us is downloading those episodes or giving us a nice review. We could always use a 5-star review. It helps other people find us. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at Bloodshed Baddies.
Send us an email with a case suggestion or a story to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Our intro music is made by the incredible cousin Vinny. Look him up on all music platforms. Tell a friend, tell everybody in the world, shout out from your rooftops, tell everyone about Susan, the baddie, 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 and tune in next week for a depressing Lex episode.
See you next time.
Love you.
Bye.